So Tim, it seems as though you have a little bit of a racy side to you.
Yes, I do. This is my 63 Dodge 330 station wagon. And I did it as a nostalgia super stocker for the street. Because again, all my cars are streetable. Even though they're racy looking, they're very streetable. This one is actually a little more streetable and a little more docile than the other 65 wagon. This has a 440 in it, and it is to mimic the max wedge cars of 63 that were raced in a number of different classes. One thing that is a real treasure to me is this sticker right here. This is a sticker of a team from New Jersey called Tritac and Morgan. They had two 63 station wagons. They were red and white. They were Plymouths, but they were max wedge super stockers. And I fell in love with them. And I found those stickers on eBay 40 some years later, and I had to have them and put it on my car. Also, the car is all steel except the fiberglass hood scoop. It has a very 60s period paint job, paint scheme, and also a very 60s style of decals. Because cars back then weren't plastered with contingency decals like they are today. In fact, decals and stickers were very rare. Most of them had them painted on. The water slide decals and the stickers we know today were really a thing a couple of years in the future in 65. A lot of guys my age would remember getting the first issue of Hot Rod that had an STP sticker stuck in the magazine. And everybody took them out of the magazines and put them on their notebooks or on their locker in school. These are a little before then. It has steel wheels. They're 15 by 5s in the front and 15 by 8s in the back. These are Coker bias ply looking radials. So they look like a 60s bias, but they have a radial construction so they handle better. The cheater slicks on the back are from a company in North Carolina, in Kannapolis, where Dale Earnhardt was from. These are called pie crust slicks. They're radial casings with a pie crust cap, and they call them pie crust because of these finger marks on the edges. And they were a stiffening design to keep the corners of the slick on the track, and the pie crust grooves were to make them lighter. And the cheater slick part is they have two grooves that run around the circumference to act as tread to make them street legal. Those are on 15 by 8-inch wheels. Some of the other stickers that are near and dear to my heart is Superstock and Drag Illustrated magazine, which is one of my absolute loves from the 60s, which is no longer in business. Drag News was a very popular weekly newspaper that covered drag racing in the 60s. Of course, the Ram Chargers, which shows the roof. But this is a red car with white stripes, not a white car with red stripes. M&H tires, which have made those style slicks. My logo, and of course, the Shamrock. And if you look at the front of the car, it carries the super stock look with the max wedge style scoop. It has 63 license plates, and if people are saying, wait a minute, it says 62. The rear plate has another little metal plate riveted to it that says 63. So instead of giving you a new license plate every year, they gave you the little cover thing. The engine is actually a 60 over 440. They came with 426 max wedges, and again it was a cross ram 2.4 barrel intake. Not really great on the street, so I wanted to go with a 440 to give a little bit bigger motor but the same look, and a single 4 barrel to make it a little more drivable and better on fuel and a lot better starting and a lot better idle quality, because these cars are driven. And basically it's the way it would have looked in 63 for the most part. The interior carries the super stock vibe through the interior with the pull-up windows like the other car. The super stock seats, the full manual automatic floor shifter, and the 63 plain Jane radio and heater delete dashboard. The rear of the car, the back seat has been eliminated, which is what they all did with super stock cars back then, because the rules didn't say you had to have a back seat. So it's basically a period correct, streetable 63 super stock grocery getter.
No cage?
No cage. In 63, they didn't require them to use a roll cage for super stock. And in fact, if you look at a lot of the old photographs, the guys that were racing these were in a helmet and t-shirts and shorts. Not like it is today at all, but that's a good thing because safety is more important than comfort, especially when you're drag racing. The rear of the car shows the stripe package that carries down off the scoop and down the roof and gives it that 63 look, and there's the 63 tag on the license plate.
Something interesting here. It's a logo in the middle of the back end of the car.
That's a Crosby, Stills and Nash logo. They're my absolute favorite musicians, and I've followed them and loved their music since the early and mid 60s when they all started in different bands, and in the late 60s when they came together to form Crosby, Stills and Nash. And they've been an inspiration, and they've basically given me the soundtrack for my life. And they still are performing today, and they're better than ever. The corner and turn back. Are you on?
Yes.
This is also a full manual automatic. This car isn't quite as, I guess for the lack of a better term, aggressive as the other station wagon, because I want to drive this longer distances, so it's got 355s in the 8 3/4 rear end instead of 430s in the Dana like the other car. It still is marginal as far as interstate drivability, but for the local driving I do within an hour of home, it's fine. And it is very, very calm in traffic, doesn't overheat, doesn't load up. It's brand new. This is about the 5th time I've driven it. So it's very fresh. So I'm still kind of sorting it out. But so far it seems to be pretty cooperative.
I love the gauge location.
That's normally where the radio speaker grill would be. I didn't want gauges hanging around or above the dashboard and have the tack up here and stuff like that. So obviously it's radio and heater delete. This is the radio, this is where the speaker would be. So the grill is gone. So I put the tack and the oil pressure and water temperature gauges, and this is it's kind of hard to read, but this is an O2 sensor, and I put them in there just to have gauges that get easy visual access without them hanging, and it used up that space very well.
Very smooth.
Very nice old car. You gotta love the early V-bodies. The 64s and 5s are my favorite. The 62s and 3s still have a lot of 50s technology in them and 50s styling. But they're so homely, they're kind of cool. and they are very much a B-body. 62 was the first year of what they call a B-body. That were unibodies. The other cars, 61 and older, had full frames and separate bodies. So this was kind of the new technology in its day. Just like that.
Just like that. One thing I was curious about. Name on the side. Long time gone. Is there a story there?
Well, that ties in with the Crosby, Stills and Nash. Long Time Gone was one of my very favorite early David Crosby songs. And it was written shortly after Bobby Kennedy was assassinated. And the hook line in the song is, it's been a long time coming and it's going to be a long time gone. And it ties my love of Crosby's music to a car that's been a long time coming and hopefully it'll be a long time gone.